Thanks for staying with us. This is Daybreak, and many thanks for your company. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. Dr. Martin Olo is the Associate Dean Daystar School of Law, Brian Odwor and Ahmed Hashia, governance commentators, and Dr. Alphonse Kanga is the Regional Chairperson of the National Council of the Churches of Kenya, NCCK, Nairobi region. Yes, Brian, now on you. Yes, please.
Yes, I'm going to touch a little bit about my senior, what he said. First of all, I want to thank all of you for fighting for the Constitution that enables me to come here and pontificate my opinions. So please sit and enjoy your fruits as I, as I give you my opinion.
You're
now,
very welcome.
Koimburi.
Yeah.
We all know that foolishness is not a handicap in politics. You understanding me? Foolishness is not what? A handicap in politics. Meaning, when people get desperate, they do desperate things. If an IG, an Inspector General of this nation, the person that protects us from Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda, can come out boldly, hold a press conference and say something is not smelling right with this abduction for Koimburi. And at the end of the day, heads will roll if we find that somebody did anything illegal. He said that yesterday, and by last night, like you've just told us, people were arrested. Remember, these are people, Koimburi represents a type of party who the party leader is now conscripting people, telling them now, as musicians, if you don't support DCP, no one will listen to you. Is it a militia? I hear also politicians being threatened of the same. There are even rumors of oath-taking.
Okay, we are not sure of that, Brian. Just hang on, Dr. To just stay on course. And
okay, sorry about it. Let me stay on course.
Yes.
So on the matter for Koimburi...
Yeah, and still on that, because the IG said investigations are ongoing and the owner of the car allegedly used in the abduction has been arrested. And to make your point, because of the substance this show does offer, is that... there are also cases of inconsistencies from state officials, including the president, who has not been very clear on what he says and at given times contradicting his own statements. So therefore, we are not giving the Inspector General of Police the pass to trust him 100%.
It takes a lot of strength for the head of state to come out and say, hey, no more abductions. It is only a strong person that will come out and say, hey, we messed up here, but we're not going to do it again.
It was the question of contradictions and the trust Kenyans have in the holders of these offices.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Let's give him the benefit of doubt for that. I'm not on the side of the president, but I'm saying it is a strong character that somebody comes out. We've seen leaders even in USA who are denying, like during the time of Bill Clinton and the Monica Lewinsky scandal. They denied it all through until now they were pushed to the corner and admitted it. For a leader to come out and have the fortitude and admit that we are going wrong, that shows he's a human being. That shows that his mind is blunders and he's learning. So I choose to look at the glass half empty.
Yeah, and the question is then, Brian, in the admission that, according to you, that the president made, why has the government been abducting its citizens?
Well, the government has been abducting its citizens because, number one, I'm not saying they are right.
No,
the government has been...
must protect his right to speak.
Yes, the government has been abducting its citizens because, number one, from where I sit, the government didn't know any better. They did not know any better until we had a signing ceremony at the MOU. That's when you are hearing the head of state coming out to say, because of the experts that ODM has donated, coming out to now be honest and be more transparent. Because the people that were initially there in the government were misusing power. But now that the president is now surrounded by good advisors who will not watch him walk out naked, that's why you see a change in attitude. We have to acknowledge there's a change in attitude in our presidency since the ODM came in.
Okay.
Yes.
And certainly neither John Badi, Hassan Ali Joho, Pio Wandayo, or Wycliffe Ambetsa or Paranya are experts in human rights, constitutional affairs, or security, and therefore have no moral ground to advise the president on how to end abductions, because the head of state made the admission on the 27th of December last year in Homa Bay County, saying that the abductions will end. Nonetheless, though, questions still abound on why the government has been doing that, given his statement. Dr. Martin.
Yes.
How can then this be resolved? Because there are many glaring issues that must be fixed by the political establishment and those who wield power. Beyond the prayers today, what then needs to happen?
There is a way in which we need to carry our history with us and our past record with us. So when Brian comes here and says that the government is abducting its own citizens, and he admits it.
The president is the one who admitted it first.
Yeah, and so you also admit it, which is important, and then you say that it's ODM that is now helping to improve it.
Yes.
It's something that you miss is that the president is on record having promised that when he takes power, whatever was happening with people being dumped in the Yala River will never happen. In fact, he said that there used to be some section of the DCI that was abducting people, and he started by dismantling it. So when you say that he did not know, or there was lack of knowledge...
Lack of ODM. Lack of ODM.
Yeah, that's not true. Factually, it's not true. Basically, what we are saying is that it takes us to be in denial, to be, have selective amnesia, to see things in a different way. What we need, Ayub, is truthfulness. And I know that the truthful man has suffered. But generally what we need is a place where we come and be honest with ourselves and say it as it is. And when I started, I said, I like the spirit or the theme of this prayer meeting. To say the walls are broken. To say the walls are broken, it means that you are able to touch this and say this has gone wrong, touch this and this has gone wrong. The issue is that, that's Nehemiah 2:17. When you go to 18, it says, what needs now to be done to fix it and to look back to God and to draw from God's grace. So as a country and as a people, we absolutely need to get back to the basics, get back to our belief system and just do what is correct and what is right. Again, it's Hashi who's talking about our morals. What went wrong? What is it that now became, and when we were growing up, we knew for sure that killing was not one of those things you celebrated, not as a society. And if it happened, there was a very elaborate way in which that issue was dealt with by the community. And therefore, it was something that was not supposed to be celebrated or to be encouraged. So we are now back to where we had to question ourselves that even from an African perspective, what was good and how did you protect that was good? What was bad, and how did you deal with that was bad? We have a good constitution, I agree. It's a work in progress for our people, including our own citizens, in terms of public participation, in terms of good governance. It's work in progress. We are not saying that we'll achieve these things in one day. Countries have taken years to get where they are. We are on the right track. In fact, we are able to question what is wrong, and that's a good thing. No matter how hard sometimes the state comes, the silence has not come, or they have not been able to silence people from saying we don't like this financial bill, we don't like this act, and so on. So basically people are with it, and there is hope. If we say nothing else, there is hope that our people are awake, alert, and they are seeing and talking.
Yes, Dr. Kanga, I'll come to you, Hashi.
Yes, I want to begin from where he has finished. The walls are broken, and that's the theme for today. Let us go and build. So we need to sit here today as we pray and say, we are praying united in prayer that we have agreed and we accept the walls are broken, and so we need to rebuild. How do we rebuild? Some of the things we need to rebuild is to advocate. We advocate the strong institution. For example, where Brian has just said, somebody came on the national TV and he said so-and-so has abducted himself. I don't think we should go that direction. What should be the stand? To me, I'll take the stand. It is not right. There are structures. There are systems working. People do their work. I'll not see any need for the Inspector General to come and tell us so-and-so abducted himself. What should happen in Kwamba? Inspector General is in charge of the law. And so would expect to see Koimburi whether he abducted himself or not in court, why he had abducted himself. But he doesn't need to tell us what he's investigating. Let him do his work, and then we see. But when he comes and tells us early, it is possible, this might have happened, it makes us suspicious what's happening around here. But if the institutions are working, then we just need to wait and see Koimburi in court. Why did he abduct himself? He's jailed for that. If the institutions are working, We need to advocate today to shun corruption so that we make sure we identify where we have gone wrong systematically. When the systems are not working, we need to pray that the systems are in place. We need to pray that our inner corruption is out of where we are.
Okay.
What we are hearing with parliamentarians shouting to one another, abusing one another, even I'm hoping today all the people from Wamunyoro should attend prayers, because prayer is meant to unite all of us as a nation, so that we work together. We respect Wamunyoro, we respect people in leadership, but all of us need to be there just to pray for the nation, not for a particular group.
Yes, Ahmed.
Why do nations fail, or why do they succeed? They fail and succeed based on two things. First of all, it's the values of the people, the moral values of the people, and the probity of the political, economic, and cultural leadership. If you look at our region, we've had value conflicts. We've had one with Tanzania the other day, where our lawyers went there to go and stand up, and correctly so, for Tindi. And what was the value reaction of Tanzania? To say, look, we know what we want to do, we know how we want to do it, let us do things on our own. But you see, there's this level that we have now all passed. Nobody in this continent now wants dictatorships. The very basis of a nation state failing, if you look at Sudan, if you look at Somalia, if you look at all these countries that have failed, is because the values and the moralities that were there were changed, brought.
A little bit complex for Somalia, because I can trace the fall of Somalia from 1978 after the failed invasion of Ethiopia.
Yeah, that's a structural thing. But before a country fails, there has to be a value system that has collapsed. The failure comes after. When that nation stops working, it is because the political leadership and the social mores of that society has collapsed. Now, I'll give you a specific example. We have the leadership from Somalia is here in Nairobi. And they've had an election in Somaliland. And there's a new president who's here, and we want to welcome him to Kenya, Abdurrahman Ali Erro. And he's here to speak about his country's successes. And I think that the leadership in the last 35 years in Somalia has not been able to bring about a consistent leadership of values so that they can resurrect their nation. And every time they come to our country, the government of Kenya has a reaction to them. Yesterday you saw Mr. Korir speaking about the embassy that they wanted to open. Our government is absolutely right. There's only one Somalia, there's only one nation, and there's only one flag. And but while I was at the Foreign Office with the brilliant Foreign Minister, Ms. Amina Mohammed, what we did is we had something called a constructive dialogue with them. We are the ones, the President Uhuru, Amina, and myself, as Mutiawe Mkono, opened these offices for them because we wanted to talk to them. And I think President Ruto should speak to Mr. Abdullahi Erro, who's here from Hargeisa, about the bringing together again of the Somali people. Because it is not possible for us to have multiple states in Ethiopia. We cannot have multiple states in Kenya. We cannot have multiple states in Somalia. So I think that instead of pushing away Somaliland, for example, it's very important to sit and talk to them and tell them, look, you lead the way. You've had multi-party elections. You have changed 4 or 5 presidents. Your people are electing people in the country. Please try and show the rest of the Somalis the way forward. And I think that if Kenya tries to sort of brook to the rest of the people and force our ways to them, we are going to fail. But if we talk to them, because we're a leader in this region, we might be a small country in the world, but in this region, Kenya is very important. So it's very important for us to push these people towards what? Bringing them together and making sure that the value system is come back.
Okay, and talking about that value system, Brian, coming to you.
Yes.
What then do you make of the childish behavior of these politicians once the prayer session is done, once they are in political podiums? I mean, where does that conscience evaporate to, and why do you think this does happen?
Well, There is a difference between a politician and a statesman. A politician, as you said, will be thinking about the next election. A statesman will be thinking about the next generation. So if everything you're doing is just for the next election so that you get elected, and that is the pressure that you have so that you maintain a political career, you're bound to be dishonest. You're bound to try and appease to the public. You're bound to be a demagogue. But before I even proceed, I would like to touch on what my senior Bwana Hashi has said. I believe that nations that prosper are the nations that work out their own salvations. Mm-hmm. If we now, as a country, now try to talk to people, no, let them work out their own salvation. Any nation that has ever been stable and has been successful, at one point, even the great USA was in a conundrum of sorts whereby they even had a civil war. That they worked out their own salvation. At one point before, during the times of Neville Chamberlain as the Prime Minister before Churchill, when everything was about to go haywire and give themselves up to Hitler, what did the British do? They worked out their own salvation. So, salvation for any nation, including Somalia or Somaliland, will come from within themselves. Let us not give ourselves jobs that are not ours. At most, what we can do is protect our borders and make sure that our people are safe. We have enough on our plate as it is. Yeah. Our deficit on this budget alone is around 832 billion. Yeah. So let us focus on our own problems first.
It's a very cynical way of looking at the world.
It is a very pragmatic way.
Okay, but then how, Brian, because that takes us to a very even important point.
Yeah.
Then what's then, how damaging is this on our reputation and standing among the community of nations when the UN report presented to the Security Council in January last year had indicted Kenya, for instance, of its involvement in Sudan. And the report precisely points out why we have been supporting the RSF and its leader, Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, who was under US sanctions, accused of atrocities, mass rapes and genocide in Sudan. How then do you, address that very pertinent point as well?
It also just leads into what I'm saying. Let us leave people with their problems. What are you even doing with RSF or the other general? Because we are bound as a human nature to be corrupt. What are we even doing there? And it is because of philosophy of now we are trying to help and then we get our hands dirty.
Yes, Brian, just to pause you, and at the Safari Park Hotel, the president has just arrived. That is the head of state who is there in the company of the other leaders, the First Lady Rachel Ruto. This is what we can establish. The Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, and the National Prayer Breakfast is now on. Our political tag team, Emmanuel To and Seth Olale, will be joining us in the course of this broadcast to tell us more now that the head of state is there. It's now 22 minutes past the hour, and the session is underway. The presidential band now playing the national anthem, thereafter the East African anthem, and the session will be getting underway live from the Safari Park Hotel for the 2025 National Prayer Breakfast themed Rise and Rebuild, a time when the political class congregates at this traditional hotel, which has been happening annually. And let's cross over and listen in briefly before we come back to the studio. Okay, the prayer session is still underway, and a word of prayer, which is being recited, will thereafter be followed by the procession of the running order, and we'll be getting you updated here and bring you the live pictures from the Safari Park Hotel once the session will be underway. Yes, Brian, you had a point.
So, we as a nation have enough on our plates. Meddling with other people's affairs at this point in time, whereby we are still a developing country that still relies on aids, foreign aid. Why are we taking it upon ourselves to try and help? We need help. You can't help the weak if you're weak too. So let us focus on ourselves, and we will not find ourselves in such scandals. Of course, our government also has the right of reply. I've had the UN commission and what they've investigated. I'm waiting for the head of state to come out and issue an official statement in relation to what has been alleged.
You don't need him though, do you? Because Foreign Affairs can handle that matter. And Mudavadi has been on denial. For example, the report mentions that the cockpit plate showed that Kenyan registration number 5Y-CIJ, despite Tajik ID on the fuselage. This was the plane that was downed, which was piloted by a Kenyan, Mr. Nyamodi, for instance, which was done by the Sudanese army after twice delivering arms to the RSF.
Ayub, you are a professional journalist, and I believe there's such a thing as a right of reply.
Yeah.
I've only had one side. Let's give time for the government to reply, no matter how damning the allegations are.
Okay.
I think that is the right thing to do. I stand to be corrected, but I think the right way to go about this civilly and if of sound mind, let the government also have a right, because they are very fantastic allegations. I must agree, they are very fantastic allegations coming from very credible sources. Let them come and say, hey, this is not as it is, this is our side, and then let the people now investigate. But we should not now make it seem or make our government and demonize it to seem as if that is already the gospel.
No.
But ideally, you can't dispute. Are you and report? I'll come to you, Ahmed. Yes, Daktari, and ideally the language.
Brian is going to make a perfect Kenyan politician.
Yes.
Speaking from both sides of the mouth, because the facts are stubborn. When facts are on the table, they are on the table. Is Kenya involved
in the civil war in Sudan?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Has RSF been in this country?
Yes.
Yes. Has it met the president? Yes. So if those are not facts, then...
Wanolo, as a senior advocate that has been practicing for many years, you do understand that every accused person has the right to face the accused.
That's a candor.
You're being escapist.
Okay, if I wake up today and say Ayub stole my BMW, now Ayub should just be arrested without getting his side.
That's not an
I should get his side.
Okay,
Brian,
I'll not finish it, and I give Hashi the final
facts are stubborn and facts stand out on their own. You can only controvert them with facts. So let's leave it at that. Basically, what we are saying is this, and I want to go back to him and to remind him that Kenya, young as it is, has always had a very pivotal role in this region. Either in terms of geopolitics, in terms of security, in terms of democracy, in terms of business and so on. So Kenya is not interfering or should not be sitting there and be told that just fix yourself. No. We have been and continue to be.
Hello, can I just add there?
Double speak.
No, just 1 second, please. Today is a piece on the Standard by Mr. Gitobu Imanyara actually speaks to this issue. The issues of moving towards a failed state based on the issues of values. And he speaks about how we cannot continue the path that we're in Kenya. Because that will lead to what the neighbors have been going through when the political authorities' values become something that is to be questioned. Then what happens next is that the social mores itself get deconstructed. And I think it's very important for us not to be cynical about it. At the end of the day, very credible United Nations, other institutions in the world, and the fact that Mr. Hemeti has been coming to Nairobi on and off, and he has met the president, and we know that the former deputy president has made very serious allegations about what has happened during those meetings. And I think that all these things are leading us to a bad place, and the political class that is going to play there ought to change its own moral values before it starts telling us, we're going to pray for you today, and we're going to pray for the country, and when they leave there, they're going to do exactly the same things that Gitobu has been talking about in the Standard today. It's terrible.
I think that's why we have prayers today. There's a problem. There's something we call exposure to truth does not mean transformation by the truth. It is important that the truth you have must transform you. You cannot just know the truth and then you know the truth is here, but that truth has not transformed you at all. We are praying that today's prayer will help the truth we know transform us.
Thanks, Daktari. Let's now cross over to the prayers, where the head of state is at the Safari Park Hotel, and a crossover there for the live pictures from the Safari Park Hotel.